So we are live on Periscope. We have someone that's actually going to help us hold it today. So today is the Beer Fest. My buddy Mike Stiglitz from 2SP Brewery in Aston has 19 restaurants in the area now? Just
Four.
Four. It'll be 19 soon. Just opened one up in Hockessin, Delaware.
Yep, Hockessin, Delaware.
People are going nuts about it. So he's in here. If you remember the last podcast, it's now live on iTunes and SoundCloud. Marilyn was complaining a little bit about
what?
You were complaining that we weren't bringing you the beer, just talking about it.
Oh, right.
So here's the beer.
Shocking that I would be complaining about anything, right?
And she questioned if I would actually be able to bring the beer. So now
if
it's
you're going to
here.
talk about the beer, you have to bring the beer in. Plus, it's my happy hour. It's 10:30.
It is happy hour for you. So we're going to be trying some beers on this podcast. We're going to be talking about... Did you see this episode, Marilyn?
I did.
That is only about a third of the story, what you saw. The Playboy episode.
I'm sure.
So I'm super excited to tell you the backstories about the Playboy episode, as I call it. There's a lot to it. So I'm looking forward to it.
You know what I noticed right away when I watched the episode? That one girl looked exactly like me.
I thought they all kind of looked exactly like you. The bikini girls?
The bikini girls. Didn't you
Absolutely.
think that?
I thought that right away. So, yeah, it's a great story.
One can dream.
Yeah, one can dream. So what do we
This
have?
is why I drink beer.
Well, you can
I don't
either
look like the bikini girls.
look like those ladies or enjoy your life. What beers did you bring today, Steve?
Today I brought Yahtzee Ale, which is your beer.
My beer.
I brought Delco Lager.
Which is world famous.
And I brought a beer that we did for the Extreme Beer Fest up in Boston, which was at the beginning of February.
Okay.
Called, it's Rum Barrel Aged Creamsicle Wit. So we take our Weiss Wit, which is our Belgian Wit, Weiss beer, our Berliner Weiss beer hybrid blend, and put it into rum barrels, 2 rum barrels that we got, and added vanilla beans to it and orange peel.
Oh my goodness.
And let me tell you, it's no joke. It tasted like a creamsicle. It's absurd. It was pretty hot at the festival. Everybody loved it. The fun part is that beer festival allows you to just do anything you want to beer. A lot of people will bring very high ABV beers, but it's an invitation-only festival. There's 100 breweries throughout the country. We got on the list, and we went up with 4 of our beers, and this one was kind of the second biggest hit out of all of them.
Wow.
At our booth. I mean, obviously, there's huge breweries like Firestone Walker, Ballast Point, Cigar City, all over. People from and locally, Free Will.
Okay.
Free Will Brewing, another local brewer that do awesome beers.
I've had Free Will.
Yeah,
They're
great
fantastic.
beers. They have a beer called
Great.
Chasing the Dragon. It's a double IPA.
Free Will's a
That's
great song by
phenomenal.
Rush, too.
Yeah.
Off the Permanent Waves album.
There you go. It's a great.
I will bring
great
Free
brewer.
Will and beer.
Second song, side A.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
As with
If
wine,
there's any comments,
you have
feel free
an
to jump
order
in.
of
Hello and
tasting.
good morning
Okay.
so far.
You know what? Get closer to that microphone because then we won't have to redo this part.
Right
because
here?
I want to tape you.
Okay.
As with wine, is there an order of tasting like for beer?
So what you want to do is you want to be careful with your palate, just like anything
Right,
else,
'cause you
whether it's
brought 3
wine,
different
cheese.
beers. Okay.
Food in general. If you're talking about meats, you can jump between meats because everything is water based. But when you talk about cheeses, it's all fat based and extreme flavor based. Wine, very much similar to that because you have those different layers of tannins, different flavors all across your palate. So you certainly want to make sure you go up in scale. You don't want to start with a giant Zin and then try and sip some very delicate, Pinot or something. You're not going to get it. Beer, you could say follows the same path. The benefit with beer though is just carbonation. Carbonation is going to clean your palate. The negative side of that is going to be there's alcohol involved. So yes, you can numb your palate with alcohol, and hops will also take over. So what'll happen, because of the oils and hops and overall flavors, you're going to wind up jumping into something like a beer Green Flash makes from the West Coast called Palate Wrecker. It's called that for a reason. You can have one, and I know people that'll drink more than one, but you have one and it's over. You can't taste anything else because the bitterness of the hops, the floralness, the floral layers of the hops, everything. You jump into a beer after that and forget about it. Unless it's like a Russian Imperial Stout with a lot of roast, you're not going to get a lot of flavor.
What's the
after that.
alcohol content though of that?
Palate Wrecker?
I mean, it wrecked your
I think it's
palate.
like 9. I think it's like 8 or 9. I really think for Palate Wrecker.
Well, then can you just have 2 of those instead of?
You can have 2 of those and stop, but the flavor is so overwhelming. That's why they call it that
Palate
because
Wrecker.
that's it. It's not
Okay,
even
so-
so much alcohol. It's just the actual hops involved.
With the 2SP brews that you brought today, is there an order by which we should taste?
We're gonna start with Ken's beer, Yahtzee Ale, and it's not because it's Ken's beer, but it's because in the order of how we want to go. So Ken came to us in last year, mid-year. He's a Delco guy, born and raised.
Born and raised.
Born and raised in Delco. He happened upon our brewery. He's very familiar with Bob and everybody, tied into us real quick. And everybody got along really well. And he's like, listen, I want to make a beer. I was like, sure, because why wouldn't we want to make a beer with Ken Cage? But he said, I don't want a beer that people are going to call a palate wrecker. And I don't want a beer that, my friends are going to smell flowers. And I don't want a beer. And I don't want... He went over all this stuff. And Bob's like, don't worry about it. I got it. So Ken and Bob...
Bob is your brewer.
Bob Barrar's our brewer, yep. So Ken and Bob got together one day. And they sat and talked. And then they came up with this beer. So this is essentially, this beer would be what you would call an ESB, if you will. But the reality is it is so light in malt and so light in hops that it's just a genuine, very light, malty, easy drinking beer. This would be your typical English pub ale, if you would.
Nice.
And it's very nice.
Give me,
Yep, here you go.
give me. All this talk.
So
Here
very,
you go.
very,
Okay, you know what I love? I'm
very
a
easy
big-
drinking,
Do you
4%.
have one?
It's 4%.
4%.
I'm a huge fan of Boddington. Is it
Okay.
comparable?
Boddington's going to have more flavor than this. And Boddington also, because typically I'm saying you're drinking it in a can, it's dealt with
Beer in a
differently as
paper
well.
cup is not
Yeah,
a
paper
good-
cups aren't
good
friendly.
idea.
But
Sorry, that's all I have.
that's okay. Drink a couple. Have a couple sips,
But
and you'll
this
see.
is really tasty.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah,
it.
the whole point of it was we wanted a beer where you could sit in the backyard and have several of them and not have a problem. I don't want it too heavy. We didn't want it too much. We wanted it to be a nice
It's like your
Delco
porridge,
Crab
Ken.
Fest beer.
Not too hot. Not
Exactly.
Too cold. Just
I just need a
right.
Goldilocks to help me out here.
Yeah, you can definitely sit, and I have many times, as I'm sure many people have. This beer is on tap all the time
Nice.
down at the brewery.
You like it?
Sip, like, it's good.
Since they
Yeah.
brewed it, it's been brewed a couple times. We've gone through a couple batches. A recipe similar to this. We're also going the direction for, I don't know if you're familiar with Memphis Tap Room, Local 44, all those craft brew beer bars. So we're placed in a lot of the higher end beer bars in the city. We're spreading our distribution, but we focused there to start with. They have a beer that's very similar to this also because they came in, they tried it, and they were like, oh, I really like that beer. And ironically, it was the Yahtzee Ale because they wanted a very, what they did is they asked us to make a beer similar, but said, hey, listen, we want low carbonation. And then they cask condition it. So it's, very similar to that. It's just in very easy drinking English pub ale.
Sticks has his whole other own lingo. What the hell is
It's so
cast?
funny because
Cast.
that's what my wife said too. Because we went up to Sirius Radio, we were on the E-Rock show up there for the beer festival, for their holiday beer fest, and Opie was there, so it was really a lot of fun. And he's going into all these descriptions on, we use this, and my wife's like, oh my God, he knows so much about
You guys
this.
really do have your own little lingo.
And he's telling everybody, I don't know very much compared to Bob. And we're sitting there like, oh my gosh, he can write a book himself.
The brewers are ridiculous.
So 2SP, everything is brewed right on the premise.
2SP Brewing, we're in Aston. We're 20,000 square foot industrial space right on Concord Road. We took over a warehouse that was built brand new but never occupied because of the recession that occurred. So we have a third of the whole strip in the industrial park, and we went in, took the space over, turned it into roughly an 1,800 square foot tasting room out front that borders the parking lot. And then the back half, about 3,000 square feet we use for brewing, 2,000 square feet refrigeration, and the rest is storage right now pending our growth because we wanted to get in. We locked in really well. It's a great area. It's right off of
Here,
95.
Belch, I think I feel I'm coming
Oh,
up.
great.
So, yep.
Got it.
Anything good?
There you go.
No, nothing
Everything
yet.
is right on. Everything's brewed right on premise, and the tasting room operates as a brew pub. So it has a front area. We have 20 beers on tap right now because our brewers consistently. We have.
How have I not been there?
Yeah.
This is-
That you
Almost
haven't watched
inexcusable.
Airplane Repo and you haven't been to 2SP.
I
mean,
have
have you ever
watched-
been to Delco?
How did she miss that party?
I have.
She was invited.
Wow.
She was
Was
invited.
it on a school night?
Tony was there.
Tony was there.
It was on a school night.
It
right?
was. It was a
It was.
Wednesday.
It
Yeah,
was a
my
Wednesday,
drinking I do
yeah.
on the weekend.
That was still the best party we've
Or
had. in that
10:30
building.
on a Friday, by the way.
So what? Okay, so and you have 4 restaurants too, right, Steve?
Yes. So our restaurant. So everyone says, "Where's the name 2SP Brewing come from?"
Yeah, that's
So
why-
we have the restaurants we have are called Two Stones Pub. We have one in Newark, one in Wilmington, one in Hockessin. Those 3 are in Delaware. We have one in Kennett Square, right on Route 1, and we're building one in Jennersville, which is down past West Grove. They are essentially just your standard 100 to 130 seat, gastropub, all craft brew, nothing macro. You're not going to find Coors Light or Miller Lite or anything like that. But because of the beers we brew and because of all the other beers we buy from all the other breweries, we have a lot of beers that are very well balanced. Like Allagash White, everybody that comes in says, oh, can I have a butter or Coors Light? We just give them, here, try this. And they go, oh, I can drink that. Because people have to make that step. They have to take that leap. So, yes, Two Stones Pub is the name of the restaurant group.
Because that's better than One Stone?
Yeah.
Like, I'm
Well,
so
okay,
What guy
so-
wants to have only one stone? I mean,
That's
let's be
just
honest.
right. Nobody wants to have
But I was
one.
just at Stone Brewery in San Diego.
There you go. Well, Stone Brewery, which is an awesome brewery, we're doing a collab with them. Actually, next week, the head brewer Mitch Steele's coming to our brewery to do a collaboration beer for.
Okay,
for
can I
World
come
Beer
to
Cup.
that?
Sure, you can come. You guys can come out.
When is this happening?
It's supposed to be next Thursday. I can get all the details 100% for you and tell you.
Please let me know.
He'll be there.
I'm a huge fan.
Sure.
And now I'm a fan of yours.
There you go. So we took the name Two Stones Pub and turned it into the number 2 S&P because we wanted to keep it in the family, but we did a lot of research. Long story short, breweries are either named after a geographical location or something specific to beer or absolutely nothing. So
Like it'd be so random.
Like Stone Brewing. Stone Brewing is in Escondido, California, and it's not near anything stone related. And their mottos, their emblem's a gargoyle. Well, so the name is just Stone Brewing. There's not even anyone with the last name of Stone involved in it, but that's what they came up with. Dogfish Head. Sam Calagione says it's kind of named after Dogfish Head area up in Maine.
Sam Calgione's in town, by the way, next week, too.
Oh, is he?
He might be dropping in for something, yeah.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to meeting him. Big fan of...
No, everybody. Well, because our restaurant group started in Delaware, Dogfish has always been one of our main breweries on tap. And Sam and Dogfish, Evolution Brewing Company, and Duclaw. Evolution's in Salisbury. Duclaw is in Bel Air. Those 3 breweries were all very helpful and strategic in helping us get started with questions, answers. I sat with all the owners at separate time. The EBF, Extreme Beer Festival we just did, was it's actually sponsored by Dogfish. It's Dogfish and Beer Advocate, which is based out of Boston. So Sam's been very, very supportive.
Awesome.
We are going to wrap up the Periscope.
I am just getting started with this man.
Oh, I know. So let's
will...
let these folks tune in and listen to
Yeah, 'cause
Rain
we're going to
Man
talk about
of beer here
Yeah.
talk for the next 4 hours. So you definitely, they let him drive around the brewery on Saturdays. He's an excellent driver. So, guys, thanks for checking it out. We'll put it on YouTube later today. Podcast is now on Real Repo Radio and SoundCloud. It's on iTunes. So episode 4 is out there. So please check it out. Click it, share it, like it, get it out there. 2SP is actually our first sponsor.
Can we officially welcome them to the show?
Golf clap.
Golf club.
So, if you're in the area, Delaware, Maryland, PA, you got to check out 2SP. You got to check out Two Stones. They are the best. That's why I chose them right away, and it was a perfect collaboration. So, thanks to 2SP for being here. We appreciate it, and we will see you soon. Thanks, guys.
And you got your game.
Ken's got me trained. He took me to Sirius. He took me to Sirius twice, and then another time I was going. My wife wanted to see the tree. She never saw the tree,